Around 8 months ago, Nintendo released the 10th installment in the Mario Kart series, Mario Kart World. While this title caught flack initially for its $80 price tag and later comparisons to Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, was it ever really that bad? Well, seeing as the Switch 2 was somehow already half a year old, I thought now would be a good time to take a look back at the game that released alongside the console and talk a little bit about Mario Kart World. First things first, this game is not worth $80. Is it fun? Absolutely. However, the pricing being one of the main criticisms for this game still stands, and I will never, even for a second, believe that this game, or really any game for that matter, will ever be worth that price. With that being said, there are still plenty of positives to get behind in Mario Kart World, and I'd like to begin with those before anything else. The soundtrack for Mario Kart World has quickly become not just one of my favorite in the series, but gaming as a whole. The sheer number of remixes and new tracks here, all scored to perfection, makes this game feel alive no matter where you are or what you're doing. Whether you're racing at high speeds, cruising around in free roam, or just sitting in one of the game's menus, Mario Kart World always has something to listen to. I really can't stress enough how good these remixes are. It doesn't matter if it's a song from a new or returning track, or even Super Mario Galaxy. This soundtrack was truly composed by some incredibly talented individuals and deserves all the praise it gets. I seriously feel like I could listen to and talk about all these songs forever. There's just so many to pick from. Mario Kart World is also just a very gorgeous game. I've been hooked on the art direction they chose for this game since the initial trailer was shown. Now, more than ever, each character model just pops in a way that has never been done properly before. Everyone now has their own distinct look and feel to them, and I feel like the game does a great job of telling you exactly who they are just from the character selection screen alone. I can only imagine that it must be somewhat of a daunting task to take old established characters and suddenly change them, no matter how minor, but here Nintendo does it wonderfully. It honestly just feels like the roster got a fresh coat of paint, and seeing as we were already kind of on this path with Mario Wonder, I can only hope that these designs stick around. Many characters also get their own set of costumes to change throughout your time racing. While I would have liked if certain characters got more than just one costume, I still think that this is a nice addition all the same, even if they are pretty easy to unlock. These stages are also top notch when it comes to visuals. This whole world is really just packed full of details and different routes or sections to really get lost in. Even now I find new areas that I haven't yet seen or an Easter egg thrown in for fans of the series. Seriously, from the updated character designs, the addition of a day and night cycle, intricately designed tracks, and graphical fidelity never before seen in a Mario Kart game, I think this is the best the series has ever looked. Colors pop, characters emote, and most importantly, this world feels alive and connected as opposed to some disjointed mesh of levels. Gameplay wise, I feel as though Mario Kart World is the most dynamic the series has ever felt. With brand new maneuvers and tricks to pull off, racing just feels stellar. There's the new addition of being able to grind rails or wall ride, two features that players have taken full advantage of in the time that the game has been out. Seriously, the crazy amount of shortcuts and tech I've seen from people post online is amazing, and it's always awesome to see a die-hard community of people come together to make some awesome stuff. Each new track has numerous different branching pathways for the player to discover, and that's something I really appreciate when it comes to any given level in these types of games. It's always nice being able to find something new that I haven't seen before. Racing feels fluid, tracks are well rounded, and I enjoy testing out different karts and character combos in order to fully maximize my value. One change that I quickly became a fan of was the omission of the car customization from 7 and 8. While I thought the idea of choosing a kart, wheels, and glider was cool, it never quite landed fully with me. Plus, there's always the issue in more competitive play of one specific combo being better than the rest, which kind of ruins the point of experimenting with each option you've been given. Now, I understand that still kind of became an issue in this game, but at least now with how it's structured, there's less room for that type of thing to happen. We're now back to a set selection of cars to pick from, each with their own stats to analyze and pick accordingly. Characters are once again separated by weight classes, even if that isn't immediately obvious to the casual player, and those fluctuating weights can surely make a difference in how well you perform in a race. Now, onto the tracks themselves. Each track in this game, whether old or new, has been designed around World's new mechanics to a T and is a blast to race on. I'm just such a huge fan of the overall structure for these levels and how they properly incorporate each new idea this game has implemented. Stages like Salty Speedway, Cheap Falls, and Rainbow Road are huge standouts to me. Not only are these tracks I revisit the most, but I find them the most fun to just toy around with this game's new tricks and techniques. I'm also a huge enjoyer of DK Spaceport. I find this to be one of the more unique tracks in the game. Regardless of where in the world you're racing though, there is no shortage of fun to have when on any one of these courses. They all fit in the game perfectly, and while I wish that there were more, what we've been given for the base game is still a very fun selection. And who knows, maybe we'll get some DLC later on down the line similar to Mario Kart 8's booster courses. That would be the perfect opportunity to expand the world a bit more and add some much needed substance to the free roaming portion of this game. Yep, Mario Kart World introduced free roam as well as the ability to actually drive to the next track after you've completed one. This is without a doubt the main feature and selling point for this game, hence the world title. I'll be completely honest, while I don't think it's terrible, the open world aspect of this game is unfortunately the weakest link when it comes to new additions. Again, not bad, but not fully fleshed out or realized either. For starters, there's the intermission tracks. As stated previously, after you're done with your initial race, everyone will ride along to the next track instead of the preceding race just automatically starting. This was a big point in the marketing for this game, and I have to say, it got pretty old pretty quick. The intermission courses, especially on launch, were often nothing more than a straight road to your destination, not much of anything else. No dynamic level design, branching paths, or interesting scenery, often just one-way traffic to the next track. A track that'll end pretty soon after you arrive, mind you. This concept just feels like it wasn't fully realized before release, like something is missing. Honestly, because of the fact that it's something we've never seen before, I don't totally dislike it and even look forward to an occasional intermission here and there, but I think that's where the issue is. These are far too frequent, and I feel like if they were dialed back a bit and left room for more traditional 3-lap tracks, then this feature wouldn't be nearly as bothersome for the community. Now, if you remember earlier, I did specify that these intermissions were nothing more than a boring straight path along during the initial launch of the game. Well, since then, Nintendo has actually gone out of their way to update a handful of these just to make them more interesting to race on. Now, there's more twists and turns, obstacles to interact with, and overall, just a more engaging experience. This was great to see as not just a fan of the series, but Nintendo as a company, honestly. Take a common criticism and use that community outcry to make improvements. It's always nice to see when developers listen and take note. Again, while I would still prefer if the intermissions were far less frequent than they actually are, seeing Nintendo at least try to improve an aspect of their game is a step in the right direction. In fact, one aspect that I think they did nail when it comes to World is Knockout Tour. This mode takes full advantage of the structure of the intermission tracks and is the perfect way to incorporate them into the game. In Knockout Tour, 24 racers will go against one another in back-to-back races as the competition slowly gets eliminated if not above a certain threshold. This mode was a great addition to the game, and its long endurance-like structure really suits the long stretches of road we've been given in the intermissions. If anything, this is what the game could use more of, modes that fully utilize this game's open world structure. Now, speaking of the open world, free roam is probably my least favorite part of the game. While it definitely has its moments and the idea is good in theory, I think free roam falls a little flat in its execution. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of little mini games and things to collect like the P-switches, Peach medallions, or extra costumes. You can freely drive around to each track and explore with no limitations and use that for some practice, but other than that, there's not really a whole lot. Even if it has been updated with some quality of life improvements, I still feel like it lacks a ton to make it even remotely exciting. I know that aside from collecting costumes, I didn't really enjoy playing this mode all that much and mainly just used it to cruise around listening to the soundtrack or to take an occasional picture or two. It's a shame, honestly. I know Nintendo put a lot of resources and time into this mode, but it just doesn't hit for me and is unfortunately what caused me to initially rate this game a little lower than I would have liked. Now, with all that being said, I understand that free roam still has its fans, and that's great, honestly. I'm personally someone who tends to enjoy the more hectic nature of games when I play, but even I can admit, sometimes it's nice to just slow down. That's exactly what I think Nintendo had in mind whenever they designed this game mode. It's a chance to just slow down and relax, and I can see why a more casual audience would really enjoy that type of thing. That's definitely something I can respect and appreciate, even if it doesn't necessarily align with how I choose to play the game. Mario Kart World also has time trials, versus races, and a battle mode. While these aren't new additions to the series by any means, they're still as enjoyable as ever. I find myself playing the versus mode a lot actually, mainly for easier 3-lap track access and the ability to customize items to my liking. I admittedly don't touch time trial or battle mode much, if at all, but as I said, they are there for players who do enjoy those modes. And regardless of whether or not I play them or not, there's no shortage of single player content to get many hours worth of playtime out of. I was able to knock down 20 plus hours easily when I got this game, and that's all without touching the online. Speaking of the online, it's just online. Incredibly fun, but just online. I have to say though, I'm a big fan of Mario Kart World's community. Despite what's said a lot about the game online, there are still plenty of people here enjoying this game, and I think that's amazing. This community is as strong as ever, and I never find myself struggling to find a match or just to have fun, casual play or not. There's even a Discord server with over 60,000 people that play regularly with each other, if that's your kind of thing. Nintendo has even been occasionally updating the online and doing their best to try and make sure the experience fits all players, even if they fumble sometimes. Still though, as I stated earlier, it's nice to see them at least trying. Honestly, I think that by itself really sums up this game perfectly. I think Mario Kart World is Nintendo trying to move forward, changing up traditional flows and formulas as a means to try and innovate and create something brand new and exciting for this legacy franchise. As for whether or not they accomplish that goal, yeah, I would say so. It's clear to me that Nintendo wishes to continue to look towards the future and enter new chapters with their existing franchises, and I think that's for the best. This game didn't hit for everyone, I understand that. And while there are still definitely aspects of this game where criticism is warranted, I still think it's pretty cool. I've had a blast playing Mario Kart World, and I think that this game for the most part was everything that it needed to be. I don't mind change every now and again, and this game provided exactly that. It gave me new things to explore, tinker with, and overall, just have a good time. It's nice to see this game still getting updated and cared for, and who knows, when it's all said and done, this may just end up being the best Mario Kart to date.